Hello, and welcome to Board and Savior. You may be wondering why I have a pyramid on my head. It's funny, right before I put on this little hat, I was wondering why it was on my table. Yucatan is a 2 to 6 player area control game that you can also play alone if you have the solo expansion. You can also play it alone by pretending to be multiple people if you're like me and you couldn't get your friends together to play it more than once. This big box of Mayan goodies comes as the 4th dudes on a map style fighting game from Matagot after Cyclades, Kemet, and Innis. I personally rank all 3 of those games in my top 20 favorites of all time, so I was very excited to see another one drop on Kickstarter. When I saw that it was designed by Guillaume Montiage, the co-designer of Kemet, I felt pretty sure that the game would wind up in my collection sooner or later. I had never backed a game on Kickstarter before, but I felt pretty confident based on the track record of Matagot and of Mr. Montiage. Besides, I had some money burning a hole in my pocket after the holidays, and so, I decided to back Yucatan all in, baby. After about a year and a half of waiting, it showed up, and it's here, so how does it work? The turns of this game are really simple. All you do is activate one of your buildings and one of your leaders. You use the construction site to upgrade the buildings in your city, making their actions cheaper. You use the military school to upgrade your troops, giving them abilities that make them nasty in battle. You use the barracks to add more units to your troops, reinforcing them to their maximum number. You use the temple to summon terrible beasties to your aid. And you use the granary to get corn. Those are the building actions. You'll also take a leader action each turn. You can decide whether to start with your leader action or your building action. It's totally up to you. When you take the city leader action, you can take 2 corn, 1 jade, or pay a jade to draw a special battle card. Whoa. We'll talk more about these later. You'll also get to do something extra special depending on which city leader bonus that you choose at the start of the game. Here are the options. And then when you take either of these troop leader actions, you'll activate the associated leader and move them and any other units in their troop into a city from the jungle, into a city from another city, or into the jungle from a city. Just remember, whenever you move, you have to pay corn. 1 corn if you're moving from jungle to city or city to jungle, and 2 corn if you're moving from city to city. And that's it. Each of your turns is just activating one of your leaders and one of your buildings. Once everyone has done that 3 times, activating each of their leaders once and activating any configuration of their buildings, the round will end. And after 4 rounds, the game is over. If it sounds like that makes for a pretty snappy game, it absolutely will once everyone knows how to play. But I know what you're thinking. How do you win? Well, each time you enter a city, if an opponent has troops there, you'll have a battle. Battles are the key to victory because this game revolves around making sacrifices to the gods. If you're not taking prisoners from your opponent's troops, you're not going to make it very far. Most battles will have a winner and a loser. Figuring out which is actually pretty easy. Your troop leaders and your units each contribute 1 strength to the battle. Summons may contribute additional strength, and unit upgrades may contribute even more. Once it's clear how much strength is involved in the battle, both players will secretly choose a battle card from their hand and simultaneously reveal them. These cards may add strength or other bonuses to the battle, but at the end of it all, someone will have more strength and someone will have less. Unless there's a tie, but we're not talking about that right now, all right? Chill out. The winner takes a prisoner from the opponent's troop, and then the winner and the loser apply any bonuses from their troops, summonings, or battle cards. Finally, the loser is booted out of the city, and the winner, assuming that they were the attacker, can claim a sweet, sweet bonus based on the city tile and the current round number. Assuming that there was a tie, the attacker still boots out the defender, but they do not get to snatch a prisoner from the opposing troop. Once everyone has taken their turns each round and has a healthy supply of prisoners, jade, and corn, players secretly select a subset of their resources to sacrifice to the gods. In round 1, prisoners are worth 3 sacrifice points each. In rounds 2 and 3, they're worth 2 sacrifice points each. And in round 4, they are worth a measly 1 sacrifice point. This kind of represents the insatiable desire of the gods. The more you give them, the more they want. These gods, am I right? When everyone has chosen the resources that they want to sacrifice, in every round, 2 jade is worth 1 sacrifice point, and 4 corn is worth 1 sacrifice point. Players will simultaneously reveal. Then you count up the sacrifice points. The player or players who sacrifice the most move up 1 level on the Great Pyramid. Then everyone gets victory points based on those sacrifice points, and players will get additional victory points for each level that they are on the Great Pyramid. Just remember, when you're choosing how many resources to sacrifice, you always want to make sure you can sacrifice at least 1 more point worth next round. If you don't, you'll lose access to essential upgrades that can really keep you in the game. This leads to some pretty fun one-upmanship. How many resources can you sacrifice that you'll move up on the Great Pyramid, but few enough that it'll still be possible to sacrifice more things next round? And that's about it. Well, that's a lie. There are tons of symbols and minutiae that I didn't touch on, but don't worry. Everything is explained super clearly in the rulebook. Okay, before I talk about the rulebook and how great it is, let me talk about some things that I genuinely liked, because there are quite a few things. First of all, I feel like the component quality is mostly perfect. Like, the miniatures are big enough that they look cool, but small enough that they don't inflate the price like crazy. I'm looking at you, Simon. Also, the dual layer player boards are great. The player trays are fantastic. They hold all your stuff. It's really fun to play with the upgraded jade and corn tokens. I know that the amounts of the jade and the corn are not ideal for 4-player games and up, I would say. But I've only played at 2 and 3, and it has not been an issue. On top of that, all of the bonuses, like all the bonus tiles and things that you can access, they all look pretty good at first glance. I feel like there's a lot of games where those bonuses feel a little lackluster, and there are some things you don't end up trying, but that's not really the case here. This one lets you get just a bit more jade or corn whenever you activate your city leader. That's great because you're sure to find yourself needing just a little more at some point when you play. This also helps you avoid wasting a building action going to the granary, allowing you to be more efficient in the long run. This one allows you to reinforce both of your troops to their maximum unit count. If you play it right, you may never need to spend a turn taking this building action, which frees you up to do all sorts of other things. And then finally, this bonus allows you to pay corn to draw the top 3 special battle cards, choose one to keep, and discard the others. In a game that starts with all 3 players having the same pool of cards to choose from, this variety alone can help decide the victor. And I feel similarly about the summons. Just about every one of those tiny terrors has something good about them. Either their ability is good, or their battle card is good, or both. Except for the vulture. I'm really sorry, you suck. But you have the coolest mini, so that's nice. The other great thing is how quickly the game moves when everyone knows what they're doing. Like, the only time that you're really going to have to wait for your turn is if there's a battle that you're not involved in, and even then, you're waiting like 30 seconds to a minute. It's not that bad. And then the other thing that I have to mention that's a big positive are the battles themselves. It is really easy to see how much strength everyone has, and then there's a really fun kind of like reading your opponent's mind game in the battle card flow. So like say I have 4 strength on the board, my opponent has 4 strength on the board. We're coming at this equal, but my opponent attacked me. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, they attacked. They probably want to win, right? Like, usually when you attack, you're looking for a victory. So are they just going to play like a really strong card here and blow me out of the water? If so, I don't want to waste one of my like medium cards and just lose. So maybe I'll play one of my 0 strength cards and get a prisoner for the deal at the very least. And then the whole time, your opponent is thinking, I attacked them. Are they going to think that I'm trying to win by playing a big card? Are they going to think that like, I'm definitely playing a 3, so they're just going to waste a 0 and be like, well, I lost, whatever. So then the opponent is like, maybe I can get away with only playing like a 1 strength card and still win. It's good stuff. That's fun. Once you're out of the beginning of the game where everyone has the same 5 starting cards to work with, battles become a lot tougher to predict if your opponent has invested in the special battle cards. But if they haven't, you can look through the discard piles and see, okay, they played their 2 strength, they played their 3 strength, the strongest card they have left is a 1. I can drop a 2 here and guarantee a win. That's really cool, and it makes it so critical to invest at least a little bit in those special battle cards. If you don't, your opponents won't be on your toes. They'll be able to trample all over you in battles, so definitely get those cards. Okay. I am guessing, if you clicked on this video, that you have heard that this game has some problems. And you want to see if they're really problems or if it's just people being picky. And to tell you the truth, when I unboxed this game, I thought it was just people being picky. I don't think that anymore. Here are just a few of the things that I noticed. Okay, this is a small thing, but how come no traditional Matagot branding on the side of the box, huh? You got your Matagot branding. There are differences in colors across the same player pieces. I don't even understand how this happens. A lot of the times this occurs when an expansion and a base game are printed based on time. They do different things, they're more complicated in the expansion. How you tell that they're different? You don't. There's no component breakdown that tells you which goes where. There's no symbols on it that differentiate why are they different colors. What else symbols on it? You need to know. So you need the evolution board to use the pyramid. So why not just use the evolution board in the first place? Anything else?
What is
that?
Yeah,
there's battle cards. Anything else wrong with the Rulebook? Wow, lots of stuff. But one thing that I'm going to mention right now is that the setup tells you to secretly make a few choices. You would think that at some point it would tell you to reveal those secret choices. It never does. You actually have to just change it in different rounds. In round 1, it means you get 2 evolutions. In round 4, it means that the last level of evolution on this board, why is it always the same? Oh, this time thing.
These symbols have some meaning in an earlier version. Maybe check your stuff before you don't. I am so mad at that.
Good luck remembering I don't know if that was worth it. Did you catch all that? No? Okay. I'll take it again. I'll start with the biggest thing. The thing that I've heard people complaining about since this game released. This is the single worst rulebook in a published game that I have ever read. I am not the Dice Tower. I am not Shut Up and Sit Down. But I've played a lot of games and I've read a lot of rulebooks. And like Matagot, what happened? Like, actually, what happened? Graphic design issues aside, check out this this gorgeous iconography back here, definitely made in Google Docs, and this image down here that is just pixelated. It reads like you're taking the spelling and grammar part of the SATs, and you're supposed to search the text for mistakes. The summon action allows you to bind one summoning available in the summonings area to one of your troops that does not have a ties summoning already, and or extend the time one summoning already tied to one of your troops last. To tie a summoning, resolve the following steps. 1. Take the corresponding summoning tile and or place it on your city board in one of your troops that has not already have a summoning tile. Place the corresponding summoning miniature net to that troop. Add to you hand the corresponding summoning battle card. That is one section on one page of a 12-page rulebook. And if you don't think that that would make the game harder to learn, what if I told you that not once, but twice, there are just still French words in the middle of English sentences? Put back one prisoner dans in the supply. Dans means in. Oops. Or what if I told you that an example given in the rulebook is wrong? This example refers to a level 1 building, but it means to refer to a level 0 building. That wouldn't be confusing for a player trying to figure out how that example works. Or what if I told you the component count of special battle cards is wrong? When you do an inventory of your board game and you find out you're missing a card, good news, you're actually not. They just printed the wrong thing. But don't worry, there is a player aid to help. Unless, oh no, does the player aid have misinformation too? Yeah, it does. Battles are divided into 3 steps, and in step 3, you get bonuses from your advisors, from your cards, and things like that. These 2 advisors say that in step 3, when this troop activates a central city to gain corn or jade, gain 2 additional corn or 1 additional jade. I actually asked this question on Board Game Geek because it just didn't make sense to me. It seemed weird that this particular bonus would not trigger if you entered a city that did not have opposing troops in it. The way that it reads is that it only works during a battle, but that seemed wrong, and guess what? My interpretation, which contradicts the rules as written, was correct. Side note, very genuine special thanks to Mr. Guillaume Montiage himself for answering my question on Board Game Geek and many others from other players. He is really trying to respond to players and make this game as accessible and enjoyable as possible, and I genuinely really do appreciate that. But back to the rulebook. Hey, what does this symbol of the guy with the shield mean? Push into the jungle while being defeated. Okay, so that means if I have this symbol, it doesn't matter which of us has more strength in battle. You'll still get pushed out. Yeah, that makes sense to me. Let me just check the forums to make sure. Yeah, so, okay, that interpretation is correct, but only if you're the attacker. I guess I'll just have to remember that. What does this symbol with the arrow next to the strength icon mean? Oh, that's the attacker symbol. Well, why is that not with the first symbol? Well, what does this summoning symbol mean with the swap icon? Does that mean I get to switch your summoning with mine? That's not in the rulebook. It's just not here. Well, check the forums. Okay. So you can switch your summonings on your city board. I guess I'll just have to remember that. Just one more question for now. What does this equals symbol mean? Let me just see here. Yes, validated prerequisite. What? That's what it says. Validated prerequisite. Cool. I guess we'll just have to remember that. And there's just a lot of stuff like that. This bonus symbol here does not match up to the tile that it's supposed to represent. The Great Pyramid's round tracker shows an evolution symbol each round. That's the same symbol, even though in round 1 you get 2 evolutions, in rounds 2 and 3 you get 1 evolution, and in round 4 the level 4 abilities unlock for evolutions. There are 2 different symbols for city tiles throughout the game. In an earlier version of the game, it used to look like this. In this version, it looks like this, but both of them are printed on components in this game. And the push into the jungle ability looks like this on battle cards, like this on unit upgrade tokens, and like this in the iconography. And guess what? All those symbols, even though they don't all look the same, they are the same. It's bad. I don't like it. Makes it hard to play. There are even littler things too. Which troop leader is which is important. They're going to have different upgrades and summonings associated with them. But when you cover up the symbol to show that you've taken that leader's action, it's pretty tough to tell at a glance which opposing troop you're about to invade. That's not a huge deal, but just like what if these wood pieces had the silhouette of the troop leaders on them instead of this guy who has long hair? Or these symbols on the cards. You're gonna see in the bottom right-hand corner of these cards there are these different symbols. These symbols denote whether the cards came from the base game, an expansion, or a Kickstarter exclusive box. But when you open the rulebook, it doesn't say anywhere that that's what's going on. You need to check BGG forums to learn that these symbols don't actually mean anything in gameplay. The city leader bonuses all look useful in their own ways, but in every game I've played, the player who chose the look at 3 battle cards and keep one won. That could be a crazy fluke, but I'm guessing not. When I played this game with my friends, neither of them wanted to bother with the unit upgrade action. They just didn't want to mess with it. Not because they were more interested in other things, but because there are a bunch of symbols on those unit upgrade tokens that are in the iconography and are poorly translated. They did not want to bother trying to figure out the poor translation. That's really bad. If it was a strategy thing, and the good side of all of this is that one of those 2 friends beat me. I was going for unit upgrades a little bit, and it didn't make the game that he had decided not to upgrade units. That's cool, that you can win the game without necessarily doing everything. That's great. But the reason that he didn't want to engage with that mechanic is so bad. He felt like it would have been a headache to do so. That's tough. This is also billed as a shorter kind of fighting game. It's sort of advertised as like Kemet in about 60 minutes. It's got that same kind of feeling, but in a shorter time frame. And yet, when I have played it, it's always 90 minutes to 2 hours. It is not really shorter Kemet. Ooh, that's not great. And then the other thing is, in this hobby, sometimes a theme is really dark when you actually think about it.
I won. I did it. You're my prisoner now. Oh, man. Well, at least I get to live. Yeah. Actually, though, if I sacrifice you, and if I sacrifice more of you and your friends than your boss does with my friends, then, man, I could get a victory point. So, you're gonna sacrifice me? Yeah, but for a victory point. Each round. Each round? Yeah. Okay.
Feels like maybe a strange thing to complain about when you have other games with armies fighting and killing each other, but I don't know. There's something different about miniatures killing each other in a battle or in a fight than you having a fight, taking prisoners, and then at a later date after the fighting is over, killing them, sacrificing them, these tied up people. It feels a little weird. Another little thing is it would have been really cool to see a section in the rulebook that had some information on Mayan history, on these Mayan deities. I mean, like, these summonings are so freaking cool looking. Look at this guy. Don't you want to know more about him? I'm planning on doing some extracurricular research, but it would have been nice to see something in the rulebook with some information. You are also more than welcome to check out the description of this video. There is information on Mayan history, Mayan culture, and these fascinating deities. Then there are the pyramids. This big one is used to track who sacrificed the most goodies each round. That's all it is. It is a track with 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. A track with 4 spaces, and it is this big. There is a whole second box that's like this big that holds the pyramids. Our shelf space is limited, Matagot. We can't be doing this. It's ridiculous. And do not even get me started on the little pyramids. Would you like to know what they do? They track your position on this evolution track. This is a little board with spaces for each section of the track, and some of these spaces have little bonuses printed on them that you get when you move to that space. These pyramids don't have those bonuses printed on them. So you need the evolution board in order to know what happens when you move to each level. So why wouldn't you just use the evolution board and save all of this table space? It's just ridiculous. It's crazy. And no, you do not have to play with these. You can just use the evolution board. That is allowed. That's fine. But having these as a part of the game affects the experience of owning the game. It makes it harder to own the game. And that is absolutely a factor when someone buys the game. I did not, when I backed, know how useless the pyramids were going to be. I didn't have a sense of that. If I had, I don't know if that would have changed my decision to back, but it would have been nice to know that all of this, like, look at how much stuff this is. Look at how much surface area. None of this is necessary. You don't need it. I saw some people talking about these and other issues in a Board Game Geek thread, and Matagot responded. They said something to the effect of, yes, there are some minor issues, but nothing that affects gameplay at all. First of all, I get it. It's hard to hear people complain about a thing that you made, especially when many of the complaints are minor or non-issues. Like, I don't love these jade and corn component holders. They feel kind of chintzy to me. But they don't ruin the game. They don't affect anything. There's also some wooden pieces that the etching isn't always the same. Like, they're burned at, like, different strengths. That's fine. But I don't know. To say that the sheer number of issues in this game don't add up to a less enjoyable experience, it's just not true. When a game has 1 or 2 or 5 issues with it, that doesn't make it a bad game. But when 5 becomes 15 or 20 or more, it's just a lot harder to actually play the game. Whenever you run into a symbol that you don't know in this game, you're not checking the iconography, because chances are if the answer is there at all, it's poorly translated. And then that leaves you checking the forums, and this game is new, so the answers are not always there. And then that puts it on the players around the table to figure out an explanation that works for everyone. And again, yeah, that happens in this hobby, that happens, but it just shouldn't happen every other turn. And look, I've played this game a bunch of times. I've read the rulebook 2 or 3 times. I know how to play. I know what all the little symbols mean, even the ones that aren't in the rulebook. So the question becomes, does it feel like it was worth it to learn all that stuff? Not really. No. I love Cyclades and Kemet and Innis. All of those games have little finicky rules, annoying things that you have to remember. But I'm just burping so much and there's a skateboarder outside, but it doesn't matter because all of those games are so good that you don't mind learning those kind of annoying, fiddly little things. It's okay. It's part of the experience, and the games are good enough that you can look past it. Yucatan has really cool monsters, and it moves pretty quickly. But overall, there are interesting choices to make and fun puzzles to solve, no question. But with this level of sloppiness, which I have never seen from a Matagot game before, I just can't recommend the game. If a second edition comes along and it fixes up the rulebook a lot and it trims down on a bunch of the cardboard, I say, yeah, maybe check it out. There is definitely a fun game in Yucatan. Especially if you're a completionist like me and you just need to have all the Matagot fighting games on your shelves, then yeah, I think go for it. I would put Yucatan at about a 7 out of 10, assuming all those things were fixed. I have Cyclades at an 8.5, I have Kemet at a 9, and Innis at a 10. All of that said, Yucatan, with all of the issues considered, it's a 5 out of 10. I paid a lot of money for it. I really wanted to like it, but I don't. If you're looking for a game like this one and you haven't tried Kemet yet, I say, give it a try. It is excellent. If you want something that's a little bit less monstery, a little bit more puzzly, go for Innis. And then if you want a game that'll make you get really mad at your friends for taking everything that you wanted, play Cyclades. All 3 of these games will offer you more fun than this box. Well, these boxes. So, there you have it, my review of Yucatan, a big box of broken trust. Yeah, that's kind of what it all comes down to. When I read the rulebook on the Kickstarter page, I thought, yeah, this is really rough, but this is also Matagot. I know that they're going to polish this up before release. And I was wrong. It feels like I paid a lot of money to be a playtester. And that feeling sucks.
Oh, if you like this video, do all of the things, like, comment, and subscribe.
I don't know exactly what my next board game review is going to be, but I promise it's going to be a game that I genuinely like. Want this channel to be a pretty positive place. We just kind of happen to start on a rocky start. So, yeah, I'll see you next time. Well, I won't, but the other guy will. I really hope he gets his victory point.